Bright lights fill the White House press room, but a tragic secret has ripped a family apart. Fox News reporter Peter Doocy, who is renowned for posing difficult queries, has been having a horrible dream. In addition to allegations that his wife, Hillary Vaughn, has received a dire illness, there have been startling rumors that he is leaving the network. Is he truly abandoning everything? The reality is far more complicated and odd than everyone had imagined. For months, there have been unsettling rumors about Peter Doocy's wife, Hillary Vaughn, on the internet. These tales depict a troubled young family dealing with a hidden health issue that no one is aware of. According to a number of news outlets, Hillary has been ill with a terrible illness that has not been identified. Though there aren't many hints, it's obvious that something terrible is happening. The idea that Hillary has had cancer is among the most terrifying speculations. These accounts claim that the pair has had a protracted and difficult struggle that has tried their fortitude and resiliency. It is extremely frightening to read that Hillary underwent major surgery in April 2022, according to some reports. We find it heartbreaking to consider that a young mother is experiencing such a horrible situation. Concerns for the family's health are high among viewers and fans. However, as people attempted to better understand the story, it became more bizarre. The cancer report was immediately refuted by other stories that were emerging. According to many sources, Hillary Vaughn is doing well and is not experiencing any significant health issues. There were several misunderstandings as a result. How could two completely distinct stories be circulating simultaneously? Was she genuinely ill? Some bloggers were unable to correctly identify her name, referring to Peter's wife as Amanda, Helen, or Rachel, which further cast doubt on an already bizarre circumstance. No one was aware of the true activities behind closed doors due to the disparate pieces of information. Was it all a huge error? Or was the Doocy family concealing a horrible secret? The solution is actually a combination of the two. The Doocy family's experience of receiving awful news is really accurate, but everyone else has looked at that individual. If you believe you know the truth, wait till you hear the actual events. While Peter Doocy and Hillary Vaughn were secretly establishing a life together, people were speculating about their personal issues. They took great care to keep their private lives hidden from the public. The majority of their time together was spent at work, where they first met. Both are Fox News reporters with a lot of experience. In 2009, shortly after graduating from college, Peter was hired by the network. In 2016, Hillary began working at the Fox business desk. She was stationed in Manchester, New Hampshire, to gain first-hand experience reporting after completing the second class of the Fox News Junior Reporter program. As they collaborated on the nation's most important news story, no one realized they were dating for years. The public and coworkers were completely unaware of their relationship. It was an easy-to-miss love story. Therefore, it was shocking to everyone at Fox News when Peter announced that they were getting married in 2020. People were taken aback. They were unaware that they were dating, despite having worked with them for years. Their wedding was as intimate and private as their romance. In April 2021, they had a stunning wedding at the Montage Palmetto Bluff in South Carolina. Additionally, Hailey Baldwin and Justin Bieber were married there. They had originally intended to tie the knot in January, but the epidemic forced them to alter their plans. The event was even more intimate and smaller as a result of the delay. They chose to have only 18 close family members and friends present on their special day, rather than a large media event. Peter's father, Steve Doocy, was honored to serve as his best man. Pictures from the outdoor celebration reveal that Hillary looked gorgeous in a long-sleeved wedding dress adorned with tiny flowers, and Peter looked fantastic in a navy blue suit. We're really pleased for you both. On Instagram, Hillary shared a photo of them cutting their cake with the caption, "Life with you takes the cake." Steve Doocy also shared a photo of Hillary Vaughn with the caption, "Welcome to the Doocy family." Due to this intense desire for anonymity, many details about the couple were unknown. Online rumors easily targeted them because little was known about their personal lives. They were able to take root and spread, since the pair had no formal statement to refute the reports that they were experiencing health issues. Although their covert romance was endearing, it allowed misinformation to proliferate. However, the reality about their family life would soon be revealed in the most effective manner. Although Peter and Hillary's relationship was intriguing, their transition from a covert couple to a developing family has been much more fascinating. They decided to use live television to share their first pregnancy with their loved ones in a way that seemed natural to them. They appeared on Fox and Friends in September 2022 for a segment about the new cookbook that Peter's parents had created. It was written by Steve and Kathy. "The food is great when you're very hungry," Steve stated as he described the cuisine. Peter then pointed to his wife and said, "And Hillary is always hungry." The studio was ecstatic when a picture of a baby appeared on the screen after Hillary grinned and broke the big news to him. "That's because I'm eating for two." Their first kid was a gorgeous girl named Bridget Blake Doocy. On February 1st, 2023, she was born. She weighed 8 pounds 1 ounce and measured 21 inches in length. Hillary's journey to motherhood was everything from typical. She broke her water while traveling to work on Capitol Hill, which is a remarkable testament to her dedication to her vocation. She then ridiculed it by claiming to be aware of the whereabouts of all the senator's former medical offices. However, she caught the baby herself, so she didn't need to call any of them. At the same time, the most important person in the world was giving Peter fatherly advice. At a White House Christmas celebration, he asked President Joe Biden for tips on how to be a good father. The president was saddened by this and gave him a simple yet meaningful advice: hold her tight. They had another child a little over 2 years later. George Jack Doocy, their son, was born on April 16, 2025, the same day they were married. Once more, Hillary had to balance the responsibilities of her work with the fact that she would be a mother till the end of her life. Hours before George's birth, she covered tax day in her most recent live report. She immediately went to the doctor for a routine checkup after hearing the news. Her OB informed her that the baby was ready to be born there. Hillary chuckled and said, "Perhaps he was tired of me talking about taxes. I can appreciate his viewpoint." In 2023, the family of 4 paid $1 for a beautiful 5-bedroom home in Fairfax, Virginia, where they currently reside. $68,000. Peter, one of the nation's most well-known reporters, spends his days at the White House, which is only a 40-minute drive away. In reality, this family's narrative is one of strength rather than illness and adversity. Despite being afflicted with a horrible illness, Hillary Vaughn was a formidable force. Hours before giving birth to both of her children, she covered American politics as a committed reporter. Her strength is the true tale, a reality that was obscured by a flood of untrue rumors. However, how did her husband initially attract so much attention from the public? His father, Steve Doocy, was a longtime co-host of the renowned morning show Fox and Friends. He is one of the most well-known and contentious reporters in Washington, D.C., and hails from a family of Fox News reporters. Throughout his childhood, Peter was constantly following the news on television. However, his parents firmly believed that he would choose a different career path, such as law or business. However, the allure of working as a journalist was too great. After graduating from Villanova University in 2009 with a degree in political science, he immediately got a job at Fox News, the same network that made his father famous. He was already working for the network as a reporter for a show called Palestra, while he was still in college. His father was his coach from the beginning, just as he had been for Peter's softball team in middle school years prior. To make sure Peter, who was on a difficult team, could play, Steve even offered to teach the team. When Peter was first starting out as a reporter, Steve would hold his breath during every 2-minute article. He feared his son might make a mistake on television. Peter would then give him a call and request an unbiased evaluation. In order to help Peter avoid making the same mistakes, Steve would give him advice by explaining what went wrong. Peter became well known very fast. He wasn't only the kid of Steve Doocy, he was a clever and honest writer. Therefore, he didn't hesitate to raise the difficult issues. He worked in New York and Chicago before to arriving in Washington, D.C. 2010 anyway. He covered some of the nation's most significant stories, including the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, the Boston Marathon bombing, and the hunt for 2 escaped inmates in Dannemora, New York. His first TV interview with Navy SEAL Robert O'Neill, who claims to have fired the shot that killed Osama bin Laden, was a significant exclusive in 2014. The documentary, The Man Who Killed Osama bin Laden, got the highest viewership of any Fox News special at the time. But he didn't truly gain notoriety until 2021, when he started working as a White House reporter. He gained notoriety for repeatedly posing difficult questions during a White House press conference. His interviews with Jen Psaki and his press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre become staples on television. These contentious debates, which were about government policies and were occasionally satirical but mostly serious, went viral. Several memorable incidents resulted from his uncompromising approach. In January 2022, Peter yelled a question about inflation, And President Joe Biden responded by calling him a stupid son of a bon voyage on a hot mic. The president then called Peter to clarify the situation, demonstrating the uniqueness of their friendship and its continued significance. Even nature has taken notice of the numerous fascinating events that have occurred during Doocy's tenure at the White House. A bird landed on his head during a live report from the White House yard, dove-bombed him, and then took off. This entire event took place in real time. Because of his public and contentious role, he is always in the news. Because he plays such a significant role in the day-to-day narrative of American politics, people are immensely curious about his personal life. Stories about him travel easily because he is regarded as the reporter who never quits up. His life, both private and public, is always being scrutinized. This brings us to the final and most perplexing tale. The Doocy family's lives was made extremely difficult by someone other than Hillary Vaughn's disease. It belonged to Peter's mother, Kathy Garrity. Steve Doocy, the host of Fox News, is her spouse. For her, the most ordinary thing might have been the beginning of a terrifying adventure. Kathy and Steve visited their eye doctor in 2015 for a checkup and to acquire prescriptions for new eyewear. During the examination, the doctor noticed something odd. Kathy had a tiny freckle on the back of her eye. He advised her not to worry about it, but just in case, he asked her to return for a follow-up in a few months. When they returned for the second test, the atmosphere immediately altered. The doctor immediately recognized a problem. He immediately referred them to a specialist, who advised them to visit Philadelphia's Wills Eye Hospital, one of the top eye clinics in the nation. Despite the fact that a massive storm had closed the whole New York region, they persisted. Steve and Kathy were terrified as they drove on an icy roadway at 5 a.m. After a full day of exams, Carol Shields, a very skilled eye doctor, delivered the heartbreaking news. "Kathy, you have eye cancer," she informed them. Ocular melanoma, a very uncommon and deadly form of cancer, was discovered. Right then, Steve and Kathy felt as though they were out of breath. Her biggest fear was that, as is typical with this type of cancer, it might migrate from her eye to her liver or lungs. Kathy began radiation therapy within a few weeks. The nights were the worst. While her 3 children slept in the adjacent room, Kathy remained up in their hotel room. Like all cancer patients, she was afraid. What if this treatment doesn't work? She had to write down all of her family's recipes for her children just in case she couldn't sleep one night. She wrote a best-selling recipe as a result of that act of love. However, Kathy's story has a profound impact on individuals, and isn't only about fear. She and Steve shared her story on television to promote one of their family casseroles after many years had passed because she was no longer suffering from cancer. During his observation, a preacher in the middle of the country noticed that Kathy's story sounded a lot like the one his friend Vicky had just been told. He immediately gave her a call and instructed her to search for Kathy's tale online. Vicky's doctor had offered her 2 options for treatment: enucleation, which involves removing her entire eye, or radiation therapy. To get rid of all the cancer at once, she considered removing the eye. That is, until Vicky learned that Kathy had used radiation to beat the same cancer. Then she had a change of heart. Radiation was her choice, and it was beneficial. She maintained her sight and eye while the tumor shrank. The preacher later told Steve that he believes Kathy's story saved Vicky's life. Kathy has been free of cancer for over 5 years. The entire Doocy family is extremely fortunate as a result of this. She is still suffering greatly from the effects of the radiation, yet she is still alive. In the hopes that one day this horrible disease would be eradicated, she now donates a large portion of the money they earn from their recipes to eye cancer research. This actual health issue is where the rumors begin. The news that Peter Doocy is departing Fox News is the final piece in this confusing puzzle. This allegation was frequently made in conjunction with the bogus narrative regarding his wife's health. This gave rise to the dramatic tale that he was leaving his prestigious position to take care of his ailing wife. However, the report of his departure is based on the wrong person, just like the health worries. The fact is that Peter Doocy is not going anywhere. In actuality, he has a better job than before. In June 2024, he was appointed senior White House correspondent at Fox News. In addition, he recently joined fellow reporter Jackie Heinrich as co-host of a brand new program called The Sunday Briefing. Instead of quitting the network, he is being assigned additional tasks. What was the source of the report that they were departing? It came from his father, Steve Doocy. For over 25 years, Steve Doocy hosted Fox and Friends full-time. He declared in May 2025 that he would be changing his career significantly. Tearfully, he announced to his supporters that he was quitting his regular work as a New York City in-studio host. Fans and colleagues were taken aback by the decision. After years of rising at 3:30 in the morning to make his commute, he said it was time for a change. But Steve Doocy isn't quitting his job. He and the network have been planning this for some time. He and his wife Kathy relocated to Florida, and he now appears on the show 3 times a week as a visiting co-host. He claimed that his new position will allow him to report from locations that don't typically receive network coverage, such as the Carolinas and the Keys. Having breakfast with his family and grandchildren was something he had not been able to do for years. He gets that opportunity from the move. The family patriarch's significant work change was the true farewell tale. On his final day on the couch, even former President Donald Trump honored him in a video and wished him well in his new position. The rumor mill combined the fact that a popular Doocy left Fox News with the untrue claim regarding Hillary's health. They blamed the exit on the wrong Doocy and concocted a more spectacular but untrue story. The title's hint has been located. It was his mother who got the tragic news, and it was his father who said farewell. Hillary Vaughn and Peter Doocy's story is not as depressing as the media portrays it to be. It's not a tale of being ill or parting ways with someone. Despite widespread public attention, they remained strong, devoted, and adamant about maintaining the privacy of their family life. These individuals have demonstrated that a happy, healthy, and expanding family is more important than rumors.